Hi, first graders. So if you haven't done so already, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to listen to me reading Where the Wild Things Are. It's one of my favorite stories. I have a lot of favorite stories. I do love children's books. And then what we're going to now do is we're going to create our own wild thing. So I'm just going to show you a few more pictures of these wild things so you can get some ideas in your head. Again, remember that they have different characteristics that resemble certain parts of animals that we're familiar with. And so we talked about how like this guy over here has the bird beak, but then he's furry. And this guy over here has kind of like duck feet, he has long hair, he's got sharp teeth. They're nice though. They're not mean, they're not vicious, they're nice. So our wild things are gonna be nice too. So what I need you to do is I need you to find this paper in your binder. It says Where the Wild Things Are. And then you're going to complete this. Okay, so you're going to think of a wild thing in your imagination. Remember, they're going to be nice wild things. They're not going to be gory, which means they're not going to have like blood or yucky things on them. They're going to be nice, friendly wild things, like Max's wild things were. Okay, get this so you can see. So on this paper, it says Where the Wild Things Are. That's the title. Start by putting your name at the top in your very best handwriting. We always use our very best handwriting. And then I'm going to use a pen just so you can see it, but I want you to use a pencil in case you make a mistake and you need to erase. Okay, so here's what's on this paper so far. It says, this is blank. He likes to blank. He has blank. So we're going to complete these sentences. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is you need to think of a fun name for your wild thing. I'm going to say, this is Wilma. My wild thing's name is going to be Wilma. So on this line right here in my very best handwriting, I'm going to write the word or the name Wilma, because that's my wild thing's name. I'm going to sound it out. And I'm also going to remember that since it's a name, it's a proper noun, and it's going to start with an uppercase letter. So Wilma, W, I, L, and then I hear a, which is a U, but I do know how to spell Wilma. It's kind of a tricky name, so it's an A. Wilma. And that's the end of the sentence there, so I'm going to put a period. Hope you guys can see that. Scooch is even closer. Okay, then it says, he likes to blank. Well, my wild thing's going to be a girl. So I'm actually going to change this pronoun here. I'm going to cross off the word he, and I'm going to change it to she. And that's okay if you want to do that as well. If your wild thing is going to be a boy, then just keep the word he. But if it's going to be a girl, then I apologize, but you'll have to cross off the word he and change it to she. This is the beginning of a new sentence. So I'm going to start with an uppercase S, H, E. She likes to. These are wild things and they could be silly creatures. So I'm going to be creative and use my imagination and think of something that my wild thing likes to do. Okay, I got it. She likes to collect. I'm going to say she likes to collect rocks. So I'm going to sound out the words collect. Finger space if I'm on the same line. Rocks. And then I need to put a period because that's the end of a sentence. So far mine says, this is Wilma. She likes to collect rocks. Oh, it says he again, so I'm going to change that pronoun since mine's a girl. If yours is a boy, you can keep yours as he. And cross off he, change it to she. It's a new sentence, so I need to start it with an uppercase S. Okay, so she has. Now be creative. I'm going to say these are wild things, so they don't have to be like the normal creatures that we see in our everyday world. I'm going to say she has 4 arms and striped horns. Now, I've been writing for a long time, so I was able to write my words pretty quickly, but yours is going to take longer because you need to sound your words out. You need to finger space in between your words and use your best handwriting. So here's what mine says. This is Wilma. She likes to collect rocks. She has 4 arms and striped horns. Okay, and then once we're done with the writing part, then I want to challenge you to create your wild thing. Now, I realize that some of you may not have white paper at home, and that's okay if you don't. If you don't, then you can actually just turn this over, and you can draw your wild thing on the back of this paper. If you do have white paper, I'm going to move this over. You can just get a piece of white blank paper, and you can draw your wild thing. I'm going to show you my wild thing. I drew this one last year, and I started to watercolor paint it, but I didn't quite finish. So here's Wilma. So when I drew Wilma, I remembered that the characters in Where the Wild Things Are, the wild things had body parts that resembled different types of animals. So Wilma has duck feet. She has horns. She has long, pointy teeth, but she's smiling. She's nice. She has the 4 arms that I talked about in the writing, and she has the striped horns. And she's silly because she's a wild thing. And then I even added a few details. I added a pearl necklace to make her fancy. And if I were to finish painting this, I would have painted her fingernails purple because I think Wilma would like the color purple. Okay, so your job is to do your writing. You have to do the writing part. And then to draw your wild thing. If you don't want to color your wild thing, you don't have to. But it would be kind of fun. If you have watercolor paints, you can use watercolor. If you have markers, you can use markers, or you can just use crayons. Okay, I'm super excited to see your wild things. When you're finished, take a picture of both your writing and your wild thing and turn it in. Whoops.